Hey, what's up, what's up, what's up? It's Dr. Andrea here. Did you miss me? It's been a while. I have been traveling the globe, and I hope you've been enjoying your summer too. I've been in vacay mode with my daughter, and now I'm back. I'm here in the sunny, slightly sweltering south of France. It's a little on the hot and sticky side, but I'm super excited because I have friends coming from all over the world to visit me here next month. Why? Why, you ask? Well, because we've got some juicy events going on, and they are all specifically designed to bring more healing, light, and love to the world. That's right. Big, audacious global goals for reals. And today specifically, I want to tease up a conversation around what it really means to be a personal brand. And this is a topic that, I don't know, I guess because I've been swimming in this personal brand space for so long, I forget that sometimes you got to go back to basics. And so what I mean is, what is a personal brand to you? What does that mean? When you hear the words personal brand, what kind of image, vibe, or idea does that conjure up for you? Are you a personal brand? Could you be a personal brand? Should you be a personal brand? All right, so let's get into it. I would love to see your comments. If you know a coach, a healer, or a light worker who really needs to step up their game so that they can be seen and heard for their amazingness, then share this video with them so they can learn about what it really takes to become a personal brand with integrity and authenticity coming from the heart and soul. So here's the thing. Personal branding has kind of gotten a bad rap. Like all of a sudden people think it's bad or salesy or icky. But the reality is you already have and are a personal brand. So a brand, when we think of the word brand, you can even chime in. Tell me, what's your favorite personal brand? Name one person whose name instantly brings to mind an image, an idea, a philosophy. Because that's really what branding is all about. It's about communicating your philosophy, your ideas, what's possible. Because branding is all about creating the expectation of an experience, the emotions. It's like the promise of what people will get from interacting or doing business with you. So typically, if we think of a product line like Nike, or we think of Maserati, you have a certain sense for what those brands are about. When we talk about a personal brand, if you bring to mind Steve Jobs, or Oprah Winfrey, or Elon Musk, or Tim Ferriss. When you hear their name or when you see their picture, you instantly get a sense of who they are, what they stand for, and what kind of experience you would have with them. That is the power of branding. So when I say that you are already a brand, you already have a personal brand. Think of it this way. When someone sees your name on the caller ID, what kind of experience do you think they're having internally? What image comes to mind when they see your name? When someone gets an email from you, what kind of feeling does that conjure up? That's what branding is all about. See, it's basically the image, idea, or experience that people have in their mind about you. Other people like to use this commonly used phrase, a brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So what do people say about you? Well, that's what your brand is. So the reason why I'm so passionate about this is I started my career in television 20 years ago. Okay, 19. 19 years ago, I started my career in professional TV, and it started at Discovery Channel. And it was really cool because at Discovery, being inside of the TV network, we got to create and bring forth lots of brands. So one of the very first brands that I got to see behind the scenes, because I worked inside of Discovery, was the late, great Steve Irwin. So do you remember the crocodile hunter? Like, he had a whole TV show, line of products, and this phenomenal brand. Such that for us at Discovery, he was one of the very first people that Discovery Channel started making merchandise. You know, there were little dolls and bags and t-shirts, all because of the crazy stuff that he did with animals, not just crocodiles. And so that was a really powerful brand. But working inside of the TV network at Discovery Health Channel, which was the network I was the medical director and spokesperson for, we had the interesting experience of branding doctors and other healthcare professionals. Now, this was before Dr. Oz. This was right at the beginning of the Dr. Phil phenomenon. So having doctor brands out there was not even yet a thing. And in fact, Dr. Oz got one of his first TV experiences through Discovery Channel, because at the time, the head of Discovery was Dr. Oz's college roommate. It pays to stay in connection with the people that you went to school with, right? Right? I know someone else knows something about that. You know what I'm saying, Bruce Cryer? Gary Malkin? Anyway, so here's the deal. One of the cool things that happened for us at Discovery was I became the spokesperson, and I was given this position of anchoring the health news. Now, you would think that that's really wonderful, and actually at the time it felt very wonderful because I was like on TV every single day. I was a news anchor, and I was doing all this stuff to really look and sound authoritative. Over time, I was given my own show, and I was doing all these other documentaries as the host. And so it was really fun to see how we craft language to tell stories, because you need people to keep watching the show, but also how we tell those stories to bring forth an image of who we are. Now, later, we started to get pitched all the time. People who wanted to share their ideas in documentary films. And one of the interesting things that happened with us was we got this beautiful opportunity to bring forth the very first show for doctors Laura and Jennifer Berman. I don't know if you remember them. Do you remember those girls? Well, the show that we did for them at Discovery Health Channel was for women only, because they had written this book about women's sexuality and relationships. And so this was an opportunity to not just watch as a voyeur, watching like the Steve Irwin brand at Discovery, but within Discovery Health Channel, I got to see and take part in the building of their brand within our Discovery Health universe, from the TV show, how the set was created, how we talked about them in our press releases, and really just the building up of this show image. And so what it taught me is that who we say we are and who your bio says you are creates an expectation in the mind of the viewer or the listener or the reader. And so some people will walk into a cocktail party or a networking event, and when they ask you, hey, what do you do? How do you respond? Now, some people will say, oh, you know, I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon. Now listen, if you could say you're a CT surgeon, that's great. Pretty much everyone would understand what that is. Now, pretty much everyone. But if you said, I'm a life coach, or I'm a Reiki level 1 master, or I'm a chiropractor, those are so flat and so bland that you risk the person who's listening just thinking very much in a box. So for example, from the average person, when you say chiropractor, we have in our mind a representation of what chiropractor means. We have a chiropractor box in our brain. And maybe you're scared of chiropractors. I know I used to be. I'm like, you are not going to be cracking my bones in my neck, right? So if you just said that, then you could be instantly dismissed as irrelevant. Or maybe I don't know what Reiki is. So if you just said, oh, I'm a Reiki practitioner, I might just look at you like, oh, that's nice, and walk away because I don't even know what that means. And so I encourage people to not lead with some title or role, but instead to describe either the mission that you're on, what you're truly passionate about, or the transformation that you provide. Okay? So those are three things. So I want you to kind of think this through. If you were at a cocktail party with yours truly, if we bumped into each other at an event and I asked you, what do you do? I would want you to respond in one of those three ways. Because creating a conscious personal brand, rather than leaving it up to the other person, means that you are consciously, deliberately choosing what you will communicate so that they really have a clear vision and idea of who you are, what you stand for, and what kind of results and success you provide in the world. And that's what's going to make people lean in and want to ask you more or ask for that business card. So if I were to ask you, what's the mission that you're on? Rather than saying, that you're just a practitioner, you could lead with, oh, I am on a mission to eliminate back pain in my city. Let's say you're a practitioner who works in a particular city. Well, that's enough to make someone say, what? A mission to eliminate back pain? Like that instantly opens up their mind, not closes their mind, and makes them lean in and say, okay, so what does that mean? Or how do you do that? And then you could give a little bit more about, well, I have this really dynamic technique of helping the bones and the tissues and the spine realign in a very gentle way such that people have no more back pain and they get on with living their life. So, okay, I'm making that up off the top of my head, but do you see how that's much different than just saying I'm a chiropractor or I'm a massage therapist? So if you led with the mission, now again, I'm sort of cheating because this is specifically designed for people who feel like they are on a mission. If you're just doing a job, chances are this is not for you. But if you are starting to feel like you've been called to look at your work in a bigger way, in a more profound way, because this is part of your heart's mission or your soul's destiny to fulfill, then I want you to consider that personal branding is not some salesy, cheap technique. This is allowing you to communicate why it's so important and how you want to see this world change. And that makes a big difference. It's not just about money, it's about fulfilling your destiny and helping as many people as possible. Because all of the heart-centered entrepreneurs, light workers, and healers and coaches that I know, they have such big, compassionate hearts that they literally want to end suffering. It's not a small thing. So leading with your mission can start to bring up even more energy in you and can inspire energy in other people. So consider that. What is the mission that you're on? If you were able to consider that your work is not just some job, but it's part of a bigger purpose for you, how would you describe that mission? I'd love to see it. I don't know if I've got any comments because I haven't been looking. Thank you, Sarah, for all that you have done, sending me some links. Wonderful. So that's one, mission. The other thing is you could share, number two, your passion. Again, because we don't want to sound boring or limit ourselves in the way we describe what we do, you might want to lead with your passion. So for me, I am passionate about authentic, soul-inspired conversations and communication. And I love seeing people light up and take information in so that they can transform their lives. And so that's my passion. And so I'm actually using my skills in communication and as a doctor and therapist to help more healers and light workers share their mission and their message with the world so that together we can eliminate suffering. Now, I know that's a little bit wordy and unrehearsed, actually. I'm blending in several things. But that really is my passion. I love seeing people light up. I love when a client or someone in the audience realizes, wow, that's a new way to look at my life or my challenge, and I can transform something. I'm a nerd like that. And I'm really passionate about neuroscience and empowering people to become a master of their own brain-body connection so that they can really feel like they are in control in as much as we can be in control. And so leading with your passion changes the energy of the dynamic in your conversation. I mean, when I talk about neuroscience, as nerdy as that is, I light up. Can you see? I mean, I just get excited when I can tell you what's going on in your brain with the neurotransmitters and synapses and the neuroplasticity. Like, that lights me up. And typically, if the person who's in front of me is also inspired, they lean in and they ask for more. They ask for more information about what I do. And ultimately, as a coach or healer, it's great when people can promote you. And most of my clients find that they get a lot of their business through referrals. But once you feel that you've been called to something bigger, like sharing your advice online or writing a book or getting on stages, then that means that you're going to be opening yourself up, hopefully, to having new people find you and find out about what you do that may not have bumped into you at the local cafe or heard about you from one of your clients. And so I find that when we share our passion, what we're passionate about, then it creates this dynamic exchange between the listener. And again, from a neuroscience standpoint, it changes your body chemistry and your body language, and we pick up on that through mirror neurons. Like, we literally feel like we get in sync. And that is another thing that's going to help people feel attracted to you. Because when I feel connected and in sync with someone, if I have two people who do the same thing standing in front of me, I'm going to choose to do business with the one that I feel a connection with, that I feel like I like, that I feel like they're alive and dynamic. So that's the second way that you can start to brand yourself. You can talk about your passion. That's what's going to help people understand who you are, what you stand for, what makes you different from other people, and what makes you more than just a practitioner. Make sense? Does this make sense? Now, the third one is the hardest. And I know that it can be very difficult for my heart-centered entrepreneurs and my soul-inspired lightworkers to share their success because they feel like it's bragging. But here's the reality. If people don't know what kind of results you can provide, if people don't know that you are a kick-ass coach or a truly gifted healer that can create a whole new way of life for people, then they're not going to know why they should choose you over someone else. So part of the branding process can be about sharing your successes, but not in a bragging way, more like in a, let me tell you something cool that happened, like just as you would normally share. Something about like a client who had a major transformation or a major shift and how it made you feel. Now, we're not talking about pride and bragging like, oh, I'm so cool, look what I did. And one of the examples that I always use is someone that I worked with back at my medical center in America. When he came to our wellness center, he weighed 535 pounds. Now, that's a lot. What is that, like 250 kilos, more than that? I can't remember. But he was severely obese, and he didn't want to go through surgery, gastric banding or any other gastric surgery. And because he had really out of control diabetes, he was having to inject with insulin. So he had type 2 diabetes, which for some people, just with taking a medication, you can manage it. But his was so bad, he had to inject insulin as well. And he was at risk for high blood pressure. So he didn't want to take all the stimulants and all these other things that people do to lose weight. So when he came to our integrative health center, we were able to put him on a special medically supervised diet. I did acupuncture to lower his stress and help him really get in tune with his body and his mind. And through the course of our program and working with a trainer, he lost 250 pounds. That's almost like 2 of me. Well, not quite. Yeah. How much do I weigh? Okay, in kilos. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He almost lost 2 of me. Now that's a lot. And, you know, I would brag and say that, oh, look what I did. But the reality is I saw the hard work that he put in. He took all of the empowerment coaching that we gave him. He took all of the lessons about nutrition and learning what good carbs and good fats were, as opposed to these spiky carbs that spike up your blood sugar and ruin your insulin control. All of that, he took it in. But most importantly, he went deep, and we were able to work through what his triggers were. And yes, we uncovered some hidden trauma, as we do in so many health cases. And him losing 250 pounds, him reversing type 2 diabetes was huge. And it inspired me with so much just admiration for what he did. Okay, now again, that was a little bit long, me explaining that. But in just telling you that story and telling you what he did, not me, I was a facilitator, does that give you a sense of my personality, what my program is really like, instead of just saying, oh yeah, I run an outpatient treatment center for obesity? How boring and clinical is that? Whereas me telling you about a success story should hopefully give you an insight into what's possible if you work with me. So that third way of branding yourself, or having a conversation that differentiates you from another person who does something similar, is about sharing a success story in a way that you're sharing your emotion about it, and not bragging emotion, but like, I'm proud of what he did because he did it. And so that speaks to what motivates you to do what you do. Is this making sense? Are y'all getting it? Anyway, I wanted to just share this with you because yes, it is true. We are hosting an event in a few weeks' time here on the French Riviera. One of our dear friends and colleagues, the incomparable Taz Thornton, is coming over here to France for an event called Uncloak Your Brand. We are removing the invisibility cloak and helping coaches and healers and soul-inspired light workers to finally nail your branding and establish a practice of getting more visibility online. So if you would like to join us for the Uncloak Your Brand event, I would love to have you here. It is in October 28th and 29th. And incidentally, it happens to be the very same week that we are hosting Speak from the Heart. So if you want to learn how to become a more authentic, heart-centered speaker, whether that's for TEDx or delivering keynotes or getting on Facebook Live, we have a wonderful experience where you can actually learn how to become an authentic speaker who speaks from the heart, not from your head. And believe me, I spent enough years in my early career doing that. So Taz Thornton is joining us for Uncloak Your Brand, and it's going to be awesome because during that 2 days, we're going to give you the workbook, if you will, on how to increase your visibility so that you can increase your income and impact as a healer or coach. And if you decide to join us for Speak from the Heart during that same week, there's a special discount, and I know Sarah gave me some links. I'm supposed to be giving y'all some links. Speak from the Heart. You can see that here. So anyway, let's see what your comments are. Ted Scott. Ted Scott says, you have been discovering and understanding your purpose, and listening to me is helping you understand that you are indeed a healer and learning all that you can. I am so happy about that. And he says, oh, I'm a fan and follower of you, and what you're saying does make sense. Fabulous. I'm glad. So that's a big step. And so bravo, Ted, because once you actually recognize that your purpose as a healer, that's very different than just being some sort of a practitioner. And it is, I think, something beautiful, because once we can say it out loud and claim it, we can then start to go within and do any work we need to do to remove fear, to remove that imposter syndrome, to access our gifts and talents, or archetypes, as my dear friend Ofkia Tekens from the Netherlands says. We can access all that is within us to bring forth the skills and the talents and the attributes that are actually going to help us help our clients the most. And so we usually come with a calling, and then there has to be that acceptance of the call. So I hope that makes sense to you all. All right, so Kenneth says, love to connect to your thoughts, and he's in a process where he wants to move human minds out of the mental box that they may be locked in. Yes, that is cool. So, right? So even just that little phrase, helping move human minds out of the mental box that they are locked in, that many are locked in. Like that instantly gives us a sense of, ooh, how do you do that? And that's what we want. We want people to ask you questions about what you do rather than just shutting down and assuming that they know everything. So I hope this was helpful for you. I think getting back to basics and talking about what branding is and what it is not is really, really super helpful. And I would love to see you at Uncloak Your Brand or at our Speak from the Heart here in the French Riviera in October. It's going to be a dynamic experience. It always is. And it's a good way for you to be surrounded by people who want to see you succeed and to be in an environment where it's all high vibe, good energy, and supporting you to live as your authentic self. So I look forward to hearing from you and reading any other comments that you want to share. And until next time, my friends, I want you to remember this. You are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love. Bye.